Hello and welcome to On the Money, where the business of Russia is business. I'm Peter Lavelle. Russia is open for business, but how hard is it to start up a business in this expanding market? What are the costs of entry? Do you need a local partner? And what about the state? Just how friendly are government bureaucracies? To discuss this, I'm joined by Robert May. He is a managing partner at Robert May Consulting Group. Terry Lindeberg, she is the founder and CEO of Staffwell. And Pavel Zhazhin, he is the CEO of Crossbeam RT and author of the book, Successful Business in Russia, Business Conduct Manual. We also have Maxim Shirokov. He is General Director of E.ON Russia, and Alexander Chuvayev. He is the Executive Vice President of Fortum. All right, before we continue our discussion, let's look at Russia's business environment.
This is Russia, the largest country in the world with a rich cultural identity that has been shaped and molded by its distinguished history and vast geography. For all of those wishing to develop a successful business in Russia, there is a need to know why this country is a challenge even for the most savvy entrepreneur. In Russia, understanding of social and business culture is key to success. This is why international business students learn about Russian collectivism, egalitarianism, and even the Russian soul, or dusha. Russians manage relations in and out of work in a comparatively warm, open manner. Whenever it comes to negotiations, be ready to receive a warm welcome. The Russian dusha is used to giving the best to its guests. However, in terms of managing uncertainty, Russians are avoidance adverse. That is the legacy of the Soviet large-scale bureaucratic administration. So, if you are referred and transferred to other offices, keep calm and carry on. According to the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index, Russia is 112th out of 185 countries. Russia has witnessed its standing improve recently, jumping 6 places higher. For comparison, only 2 BRICS members are more business-friendly: China at 91st and South Africa at 39th. And the goal is to reach number 50 by 2015 and number 20 by 2018. Russia now attracts the interest of investors and entrepreneurs in time of global economic shifts benefiting the developing world. Daria Chernashova, On the Money, RT.
Okay, Terry, I mean, we saw it was very inventive there and colorful, but let's get down to brass tacks. How many years have you been in the market?
I've been here for 17 years.
So you came here as a teenager, yeah? Okay. No, I'm saying that because you're one of the first persons I met in Russia. Tell us how it all started for you. You have a very successful business here.
Well, I came over in '96. I was living in New York City at the time, and I'd been there for 5 years and just needed a change, and a friend was coming to Russia.
You went to Russia in the 1990s, okay.
I did, and I had a friend who came over, so I decided to go as well and just give it a shot. Knew nothing about Russia. Was surprised when I got here, but I stuck with it, and so glad I did, because I've done very well on the professional side and personal side as well. I have a lot of great friends, and I started my own business in 2000, and we have a very strong company. So on the market, recruitment firm, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. And,
okay, we'll get some more details. Pavel, is this an anomalous experience that Terry's had here? A lot of people come and go, a lot of people come and stay?
Yeah, actually yes. I started to work with foreign companies about 15 years ago, I think. First my job was with Siemens. Later on I worked with IBM, and I realized that the most part of your time you spend not talking about business, but talking about how to do business in Russia. And it was an interesting experience for me, and I used to spend a lot of my time just teaching people the culture difference. So what was so about?
Well, that's very interesting, because that's a report we just heard.
Okay.
Robert, what about is it the culture of business? Because this is, Pavel brings up a very interesting point.
I'd say it's definitely a culture of business. If you look around the world, I mean, there's an American way of doing business, there's a Japanese way, a European way, and then there's very much a Russian way. And what you're looking at, I think, to put it into perspective, you have somewhat of a melting pot of ideas from around the world. And most other developed countries have already had 100 years to kind of get it all right and fine-tune. If you look at Russia, they've been trying to put it together only for the last 20 years, bringing in ideas from all over. So right now there's a lot of gray area still in Russia, so to maneuver through that gray area, you need, it's very much a nuanced way. You need kind of understand the culture to really make it work.
Maxim, if I can go to you, what's the nuance, most important nuance, in your opinion, in doing business in Russia?
It is a very broad question.
I'm sorry.
Okay. It is indeed. No, I just wanted to say that I just came back from Krasnoyarsk, and we took part in the Krasnoyarsk Forum where the Prime Minister spoke. And he did speak a lot about human capital, and I think it is one of the paramount issues for this country to invest into the capital and then harvest from it as you do business.
Alexander, what's your most important nuance when it comes to business culture in Russia?
I think that doing business in Russia, you have to be persistent. You have to have ideas, and you have to be very persistent in pursuing these ideas. And of course, it takes lots of time and efforts, but I'm sure that everyone with persistency and personal resources will be successful in Russia. That's my personal opinion.
Okay, Terry, what's the most important nuance in dealing with, because you have a mature business right now, what was the biggest barrier then and now?
I think the biggest barrier to any business is the people that you have. You have to constantly have the right people in your company. And you have to have that confidence to know that that is going to change, and you have to always be looking for really good people to drive your business forward. And then you have to lead them and manage them to, relentlessly drive that forward if you want to be successful. And I think that's anywhere.
What do you think?
Partners is a key to success. You can't do nothing without partners. Only proper partners can open doors in government.
Yeah, but I remember in the 90s you had good partners and you had kind of some bad partners. I mean, the concept of Krisha and things like that.
No, Krisha, it's more criminal partners. We're not talking about
it was
that.
a reality when Terry and I first came here.
15 years ago. Now it's gone, luckily. But now you don't have wrong partners. You should have only right partners.
What's a good partner then? Give me a description.
Good partner is a partner with a well-established business, well-established relations, having some almost family relations with executives over there who can solve all issues, even not business issues with your customers. If you have that partner, you have business. If you don't have partner, you can make dozens of negotiations and have a zero outcome.
Robert, what's a good partner in your mind?
Well, I mean, definitely one you can trust, which is, that takes a lot to develop that level of trust. But here in Russia, I think if a foreigner comes and tries to do business, he's not going to be able to do it on his own, that's for certain. Because I keep saying, as I mentioned, there's this gray area, because you have the vision of how the government and everyone would like to see Russia, and then you have the reality of how it works on the day-to-day level. And it's the gray area in between, and this is evolving all the time. You need a good partner, a Russian partner, or Russian partners, I should say, that actually know how to maneuver through all of these changes. So if you look at three things you need here, you definitely need patience, because you're going to be doing things over and over and over until you get it right. Secondly, you need the stamina or the commitment, because this place can drain you. You really got to keep pushing at it. And definitely the third thing is you need flexibility, because it is a moving target all the time. And until it kind of settles down, you're going to have to maneuver, and you need to be flexible and adapt. So basically anyone can be successful here, but it's going to take some work.
Maxim, anyone can be successful here, just takes some work. Do you agree with that?
I would, but I wanted to touch on something else, and I'll try to get across the message. Partnership is very, very important, but also I think you as a partner doing business here should also be reliable and transparent, and specifically for us, because we're in a regulated area of business and we interact a lot with the government officials on different levels, federal, regional. You have to be reliable. That's the key of the game. You have to be very vocal and very clear in terms of your goal, the strategy, and your stand, if you will. And then you have to be reliable. And in this case, typically people respond to you, with the same attitude.
Alexander, what do you look for in a partner?
I think that because as we are in the same business with Maxim, and we are regulated business, although I'm a little bit more regulated than Ion, because We are the only large investor involved in communal or municipal sector, mostly in heat. And I think that you need to be very transparent. You have to have very clear ideas, and you have to have patience.
Patience,
then,
patience. Everyone is using the word patience.
You have to have patience in Russia, but also you have to have enough energy. Energy level is the key to deliver your message, to get heard, and finally to get the results.
All right, let me jump in
Especially
here,
when
folks.
you're dealing with.
We're going to go to a short break, and after that short break, we'll continue our discussion on business in Russia. Stay with our team.
Choose your language.
Good morning from me, Kevin Owen. If you're Bienvenidos a nuestra edición semanal.
Choose the news that concerns you. Choose the opinions that invigorate your mind. Choose the stories that impact your life. Choose the access to your RT.
We are facing a lot of problems in Niger Delta because no water to drink, no good school, no development. We live inside forest.
We have a lot of multinational companies in our community, in Bonnet community. LNG Mobile is there, Shell is there. They don't give a damn.
If they don't return my properties, I must fight back. I must fight. I'll fight.
We will fight for our own right.
Roll it, 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 roll it. Rollin', 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 though the streams are swollen, keep them doggies rollin' real hard. Rain and wind and weather, hell bent for leather, wishes my gal was by my side. All the things I'm missing, good victuals, love and kissing, are waiting at the end of my ride. Move 'em on, hit 'em up, hit 'em up, move 'em on, move 'em on, hit 'em up, ride, cut 'em out, ride 'em in, cut 'em out, ride 'em in, rawhide.
More news today. Violence has once again flared up.
These are the images the world has been seeing from the streets of Canada.
Giant corporations rule the day.
Welcome back to On the Money, where the business of Russia is business. I'm Peter Lavelle. To remind you, we're talking about how to build a successful business in Russia. Okay, Terry, you wanted to add a caveat about partnership, about size. Go ahead.
I think from hearing everyone that if you're a large-size company or a medium to large-size company, it's very important to have the right partnerships in Russia. However, if you're a small company coming into the market, it may not be as necessary. As I think what's more important is that you have the right team in place, that you're hired, and that you just carry out your business forward. For instance, my company, Staffwell, I don't have partnerships in that sense with the government and so forth. We recruit for them. We have great clients, but it would be very complicated if we did have partnerships in our business, because it would it may even hinder our business and hinder our growth and success. So I don't think, coming into this market, if you are coming in a startup operation, I don't think it's absolutely necessary to have partnerships established ahead of time, but more have a very strong business plan and carry that through very diligently.
You know, Pavel, one of the things I've noticed from the 90s to the present, that in every single sector, that if foreigners go in and try to capture a sector, a lot of Russians don't like that, and they want to partner with people that they can capture the sector, and then they want foreign partners. They want to do it the other way around. And I don't have time to go through all the sectors that happened with the 1990s, but is that the way you kind of look at it, and you tell people that you have to look for strong partners that are already strong in sectors?
Actually, yes and not. Yes, for regular business like distribution of something, definitely yes. For new businesses, I would prefer to look for a partner who has an ability to execute, because they have Russia has money. Russia has a demand for technology.
Huge expertise as well.
Huge expertise, but zero ability to execute. If partner comes with a team ready to invest to the local team, train people, and execute the project well, it's a great foreign partner for Russian government, for Russian companies, for Russian brokers or whatever. So ability to execute is the key to manage the areas, to manage the sectors.
Okay, let's talk about some of the problems. Robert, what are some of the problems that remain, barriers to doing business here? Is there a huge cost of entry still?
There's not really a huge cost of entry. Again, it depends on the business. It really depends on the industry, because the place is really blooming in pretty much any sector you look at, and the opportunities are quite massive. It really depends on how you want to come in and who you are. I mean, if you're a large corporation, it's one thing. If you're medium-sized, it's a little bit different. And if you're small, I mean, you can go take your time to come in at your own pace. But the barriers, I'd say if you look at industries, some industries, the government is actually creating barriers, not intentionally, but they're really trying to push more on domestic production, for example. And this is healthcare. This is several of the big industries where, for better or worse, this is the approach they're taking, which in my opinion is not the best approach.
But these are government-related, state-related issues,
yes,
right? Okay, yeah. Well, that happens everywhere, doesn't it?
Well, I don't think to the extent that it does here. I mean, I think the rules are clearer in some of the other countries. Here, you have to be ready for changes in the game, because the game is changing all the time. And again, on everything, anywhere, it's about enforcement. So the rules are there. If they enforce, they enforce. If they don't, they don't. And in Russia, it's quite ad hoc in terms of what they enforce and what they don't. So if you want to look at, here's the rule today on how to start a business, okay, these things are pretty clear. But there's all these some of the hanging-ons from the past, some of the still the old system, some of the Soviet ideas that haven't been cleaned out yet. So it's still going through this process of fine-tuning what is the right model for Russia. And one thing everyone says in Russia, and the Russians are always saying it, when you come into one of these situations where something's a little strange or confusing, or what is that all about, they just say, it's Russia, it's Russia. I mean, this is the answer they have for everything. It's Russia.
Well, that's not a good enough answer for me. Maxime, what's the biggest barrier still to doing business in Russia?
Yeah, I was carefully listening to what Mr. May was saying, and it's incredible because it differs so vividly from business to business. For example, in our business, we're desperately waiting for change, and it's not coming. I mean the continuation of the reform of energy. But anyway, answering your question, I think that logistics is one of the, well, I wouldn't call it a barrier, but I think it's a challenge that anyone who wants to play in this market should predominantly understand. That's one thing. And cultural differences as you travel from Moscow to places like Urals, Siberia, and further on to the Far East. This is something else to be.
It's like sometimes going to a foreign country if you stay in Moscow. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, but it's like in the U.S. as well. So there is New York, and then there is Midwest. So you have to anticipate that some of this mentality also exists in this country as well.
Okay, Alexander, do you want to jump in on the biggest barrier still that you think continues to exist for starting up a business or a business that's in operation?
Right. I think that there are two barriers, internal and external, because if you're a large enough business, you need to rely on local people, and you need to rely on the integrity and compliance. Integrity is very important because you need to stay integral, and you need to comply with the regulations and ethics and all that stuff. And you need to brainwash your people. This is a very big issue because you easily, or your people can easily be distracted from that course. and it's very important. Another thing, barrier I would...
Let me make sure I understand this. I mean, follow the rule of law. That's what you're saying, okay? Making sure that you stay within the rules.
Follow the rule of law. This is and regulations, because it's not necessary law, and also the doing business in terms of business ethics. This is very important. And the second barrier, I would say, it is ability of your partners to execute. You can have money, as previously it was said previously. You can have money, good intentions, and all that stuff. You may rely on partners, but they have very poor ability to execute, and then your business is going to be vanished.
Okay, Terry, when you came here, you basically started a new sector. There weren't very many people like you doing it, were there? I mean, big anyway.
Recruitment.
Yeah.
No, it was quite big. I mean, after the crisis, it had constricted a bit. But
I can remember speaking to you a number of times when that happened.
However, it got really big. Up to 2007, I think there were 500 players in the market, so it got big. It's constricted again because of the recession, and I don't think actually the market is booming right now. I think it's going to come back slowly. But I think in certain areas things are very strong, like oil and gas and energy and some of the other ones. But
what about regulation of your sector?
Healthcare.
I mean, have they been making it up as they go along? I mean, because the whole idea of recruitment was a relatively new idea. I mean, now it's matured a bit.
Yeah,
but I mean, have you seen new regulations come on? Like, oh, I didn't know about that. I mean, like, find out one morning.
Well, there has been one that's been very difficult for us, although we've dealt with it. And I think a lot of companies in the service industry have been hit by this. But I think it's the Personal Information Act. So you've had to redo your IT systems. Every candidate that comes into our office has to sign a document that how they are giving us approval to use their resume outside of our office. So it's a lot of changes that we've had to do.
Is it
a lot of
positive, or is it just bureaucracy?
Well, it's very common in the West, so it's not abnormal.
Okay, fair enough.
However, I think the way that it's being done is just a little bit, it causes a problem for, I think, everyone that's having to deal with it, but it's something that you have to do, so we're slowly doing it.
Is the state a problem still for starting up a business here, or is it helping? I mean, is the pendulum moving one way or another?
Actually, there is no problem. Administrative cost is very low. You need a couple $1,000 to set up everything, and even a simplified accounting system for the first year. It's very positive. The biggest startup cost is entering into the relation and finding the partners, crystallizing and landing to the Russia your business idea, because your business idea in the West will not work immediately in Russia. You have to land it. So the cost is increasing because there is no more open space, no room in the market. It's booked solid already. It's not 20 years ago. So you have to find some differentiation for your idea and land it properly. So it takes time, it takes money.
What do you think about that?
No, I mean, I agree with what he says. I mean, the government's not the issue, because at the low levels, they're really not engaged. They're more on the higher levels.
Okay, what can you differentiate? I mean, is it local bureaucracies versus state policy, for example?
Yeah, it's because the idea is of the vision of where the country should be. I mean, there's a lot of the rhetoric that says we need to make the country easier to do business. We need to open the doors.
Yeah, but we keep hearing, I'm sorry, I've been here a long time. I keep hearing that.
I know, we hear that for a long
happening?
time. So
is it
yeah,
happening?
It's not happening. It's not trickling down. That's why you still have the big gap between reality and the policy. But you can still function in this environment. And again, it's just a question of how do you maneuver with all this movement. I mean, because it is pretty slippery. But there's a lot of business being done here. And I didn't mean that the country's booming in the sense that it's booming. It's just the opportunities here are still quite incredible. And every day people are starting businesses. And again, if you really push and you have the drive and the stamina and the patience, I mean, you can do well here. There's a lot of niche areas still. There's pretty much any area. If you want to go into tourism, you want to be in agriculture, you want to be in IT, pretty much any industry you can think of, the opportunities are here. So,
Maxime, so it's still wide open, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I mean, if I could personally say, I would like to see more competition with dry cleaning, okay? Because dry cleaning in Moscow is really outrageously expensive, and, it's giving me some ideas. Go ahead.
I don't know what to say. I'm not an expert in dry cleaning, and frankly, I'll have to give it some thought probably. But, relating to a question, I think that there is a lot of room. And yes, I would agree that the market is a bit saturated, but not to the limit. And the country is vast. And as I said earlier, I just came back from Siberia. And it's amazing what kind of opportunities those regions offered to the people. I mean, we spent 2 days out there discussing various matters at the forum, and it's all about growth. I mean, you just take the Krasnoyarsk Krai, it's amazing. I mean, they got it all.
Maxime, let me jump in here because I'd like to give Alexander the last word on the program. We're almost out of time here. Alexander, go ahead. What would you like to see happen?
I think that this market presents lots of opportunities for the people with energy, persistency, and know-how and knowledge.
Okay,
I think this is one of the, persistency is one of the words, because it is easy to start the business here, but it's not so easy to sustain. And sustainability of the business is the key.
I think we have consensus on that. We've run out of time here. Many thanks today to my guests, and thanks to our viewers for watching us here on The Money. See you next time, and stay with RT.